So this is my RDP machine where it's coming from brand Santa Clara, which has IP 52.8, 142.57, and I'm setting this advanced DNS preferred DNS servers to any cached IPs of advanced DNS resolver 969.969.969.979. So this machine is already configured from SCM standpoint. It's also verified. Any traffic from this, any DNS traffic will be directed to our anycast IPs. This is also configured from the client side. That means your network side. So all settings have been taken care. The next step is to access like few domains, like Arun mentioned, right? We have some domain masquerading or TDS domains where let's access some malicious and benign domains and see what's the expected behavior. So this is coming from one of the detection like domain masquerading where attackers point their domain to some benign websites to gain reputation. So right now access that kind of a domain, it shows this block page with domain category as gray where and access has been blocked by Palo Alto Networks policy. This is the custom setting which I have made. Similarly, I'll access one more like traffic distribution systems, TDS. So here too, I see this as blocked as malware, and this is what the end users would see. For example, if I access some gambling website, etc. So gambling website is set to sinkhole. We'll see like what it shows. So the domain category for content also can be displayed here. It's all coming from Palo Alto Networks sinkhole configuration. There is nothing extra you need to configure. This is the default setting. The only thing is you need to install that certificate on the client machines. So let's access some legitimate sites which are not set to blocks. Like let's say LinkedIn, we can access everything is working right. So this is how it shows from the end client perspective. Now we'll look into the next step, the logs. So so far what we have covered is we looked into configuration, how you can act connection source, how we can verify security profile, ADLs, sinkhole settings, and then from user point of view, what's their user experience is when they access a malicious site or a benign site. Now from admin point of view, we'll again come back to the SCM screen. We'll go into the log viewer section to see if I drill down into the logs alerts. So for advanced DNS resolver, we need to click into log viewer and then DNS security resolver, firewall DNS security here. Let's go back. So as you see here, uh, we have source IP, which is my IP, and destination IP is the anycast IP, and I access some malicious TDS domains. I can see the DNS threat name, DNS category, CVID action, and also I can see the DNS R data response. This is the block page sinkhole IP response. This is for malicious TDS, and for domain masquerading, I can see the similar way. We can go into more details also, um, like your TSG ID. One moment. Let me access this. Yeah. Our data IP information, what type of DNS server log, and also security rule configuration and other details. So these have extensive details, and we support benign logging, right? Any category that's set to alert, we would see this here. For example, like computer info is also set to alert, shopping is also set to alert. So it's up to you as per your acceptable policies. You can set to categories, content categories to alert or allow. Just for display purpose, for example, for default profile has uh, alert for all the categories. Uh, Let me also access a partial script where it runs. This is from the client machine, brand Santa Clara. I'll just run a script where it generates a bunch of domain requests with malicious domains and also benign domains. Uh, this is coming from the same IP, ran Santa Clara configuration of our connection source. Now, what we can do is we already access the logs. What additional options that we can see in terms of insights, right? So I have the screen already here. This is under activity insights. Let me reload this page. And in the activity insights, there are a few tabs like threats and domains. In the threats tab, I see like total threats as 146, 14.6K. And specifically, I only enabled advanced DNS resolver here on this tenant. So I see all the logs, threats for this DNS here. The threat name, category, subcategory, if it's from resolver license, what's the rule name, etc. Branch rule name, block threads, allow threads. So I'm in zoomed out session, but not sure if it's visible, but this is all the information you get. You can also go into logs from here. For example, if you want to drill down, in the morning you come here, you see what are the total threads, etc. And if you see more of threads coming in, for example, there are 84 block threads for this specific thread name you want to explore, or 280. Let's see what's happening. If it's coming from single user or multiple users, you can go into these logs and look into more details, etc. Since I have only one connection source, it's only coming from one, but you'll have that information there. And also, you have option to go into to domains. These are all the domains that have been accessed. If it's set to alert, right? All the domains which are set to alert can be shown here, and the domains alert category allowed or sinkhole application name and number of hits. All this information can be seen. These are the current dashboard settings that we have. We are also working on releasing in a very short time on advanced dashboards, which are customizable powered by AI. So that means if you enter a prompt, it can generate dashboards, but that will be available shortly in like few months. So yeah, any questions so far? Let me stop sharing the screen and we can answer the questions.
Yeah, we've actually got a large variety of questions coming in here. So Gary's asking if competitors for this kind of product run it as an open resolver, OpenDNS, Quad9, Cloudflare, etc. Any plans to move in that direction, or does he have to have every possible site that is doing external resolution IPs in some kind of portal?
So I can take that. It's right now the plan is not to make it an open resolver, so we are still just restricting it to our customers. But things may evolve, and we may change later.
Okay. Is ADNS Resolver available in FedRAMP High?
Not today. So this is basically just a release product. All these things are still work in progress. So ADNS, FedRAMP, etc. will come in later.
Any kind of an ETA on that, or?
Not at this time.
Okay. Does the ADNS Resolver work for mobile users coming in via Prisma Access?
So there are a few things still in the works. So we are working with the Prisma Access team and also the PAB team. I saw one more question on PAB, but those things are coming in. So at some point, what you will have is Prisma Access, basically the agent used with the Prisma Access solution or the GP solution will have this capability of if the tunnel for some reason goes down, you can still have the agent connect to our resolver and secure those users. Additionally, with PAB, you will also see basically have the browsers connect to our DNS over HTTPS FQDN, and we can secure DNS traffic coming from PAB, our enterprise browser, and be able to log that traffic as well.
Cool. Okay. There's a couple of questions about sinkholes. I'm going to kind of condense them into one question here. Is the sinkhole a honeypot? Is it something that's blocked? Or my understanding of sinkhole was always just simply drop traffic.
Sinkhole is like a honeypot in general. So the key thing behind sinkhole is we see additional data when we get to this, like when the traffic gets redirected to our sinkhole server. So there are a few things that we collect today. So sinkhole, even though you don't see any kind of block pages or etc. that gets displayed, but we observe things like how the handshake process is happening, and we collect some additional data out of it. With Resolver, because there is nothing in between to show you the block page, the Sinkhole server also displays the block page for you, and we use that data to enhance our detection models as well. So it is similar to basically a honeypot server.
Cool. All right. So Kevin is asking is if we have locations that are using DHCP for their public IP, is that a supported configuration, or do we need to have known public IPs as the source IP for our DNS resolvers or clients?
So with the launch, we only have like static IP mechanism available, but we are working on a mechanism to also have the ability to look into dynamic IPs. So if any of your locations have your ISPs giving you dynamic IPs, so we are working on a solution. So stay tuned for that, and that solution will be rolling out.
Cool. Jason is asking is his firewall already has the advanced DNS security license, so doesn't it already doesn't it already inspect the DNS queries for DGAs, etc.? Is this more intended for people without a Palo firewall?
So Jason, you're right. So it's basically if you already have advanced DNS security, that is already inspecting requests and responses. But basically the solution is designed for people who may not have our firewall, as you mentioned, or may have a mix of different firewall vendors. So Resolver-based solution is easier for them to deploy, and that is the whole intention of this product.
Okay. Aaron asked that one question is, what's the process for verifying the IP address? I remember seeing there was a verified option on one of the screens there.
Yeah, so the option to, what's the process of verifying IP address? We just need to access the URL that once the admin creates, right? So once the admin creates the connection source, there is a URL that shows up. We need to enter that URL on a client machine, which is in the same network as you entered. So once you enter there, we'll have a activation code. You just need to put it back here and verify.
Cool. Aaron's got a really good question. Are there any SLAs around resolver latency?
So our goal here is to keep latency as low as possible. So right now, there is no SLA as such. SLA is more like from an uptime standpoint. So we are looking at 5 nines. But latency-wise, we are looking at less than 40 milliseconds.
Okay. Then we got another great question, I think, here, because this could happen to people. It's happened to me in the past, I know. What happens if the advanced DNS resolvers are not available? And we always run into issues when updating our IP-based DNS, which we're using as our DNS as a forwarder.
So resolvers in general, we have basically deployed it in different regions, different clouds. So not only do we have redundancy within the region, we also have different vendor environments basically hosting the infrastructure. So even if one cloud provider goes down, we have a backup. So that is how we have built the solution, and that is how we are able to offer that 5 nines uptime SLA.
Fantastic. Caesar's asking is, does log information include device and user content information like endpoint name and Active Directory username?
So those will basically, if you're, so there is a plan to do that. Today, it's going to just show you the connection source. But as we roll this out with agent and PAV, if there is any context available through CIE or something, we can leverage that and show you those logs.
Cool. All right, that seems to be all the questions we've got at the moment then. Most of them have been answered along the way, so I'll hand it back to you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you. So just a few things before we wrap up here. I'm going to touch briefly upon the product in general, the licensing aspect of this. Key thing with the whole resolver, as I mentioned, this is if you already have a firewall running advanced DNS security, it is already giving the coverage. So resolver is basically enforcing the same advanced DNS security on the resolver side. So ideally, you do not want any kind of dual enforcement. So the goal from our standpoint, our vision in general is you have different layers of enforcement going forward. So not just hardware firewalls, cloud firewalls, software firewalls, or SASE solution, but you also have the resolver as an enforcement point. And you have the same advanced DNS security, basically being the umbrella, being able to make sure from a threat standpoint, the coverage standpoint, we are consistent across all these enforcement points. And as we roll out SCM to broader set of customers, the goal here is also like SCM is that means to make sure from a configuration standpoint, everything is consistent. So SCM can be used to deploy hardware firewalls and SASE today. We are also using that for Resolver. So from a security policy standpoint, from a profile standpoint, you can have consistency between all these products. Quickly going over to the licensing aspect of it. So this is Resolver, as I mentioned, it's another enforcement point for you, right? So for customers who need a Resolver, this is a separate license. This is a standalone product. It has absolutely no dependency on PAN-OS or the hardware firewalls or the SASE solution. So this is like a per user, per year kind of licensing model that you are probably already familiar with some of our competitors out there. One quick thing to touch upon is if you have this, if you purchase this Resolver solution, we are bundling in Strata Cloud Manager and Strata Logging Service with it. So you can, if you are a Panorama customer today, you can continue to use that for managing your firewalls. But since Resolver is basically a cloud solution, we require Strata Cloud Manager. So you can use Strata Cloud Manager to manage your configuration for Resolver. Additionally, if you have enterprise agreement with us, this Resolver solution gets bundled with that. So for any enterprise agreement customers out there, what will happen is you should see basically a magic link activation code available now. If you need to, if for some reason you're not using DNS security on our firewalls today, then you can have basically this option to go into the Resolver solution as well. And you can do mix and match. So if for some locations the hardware firewalls work, you can use that. Or if you have SASE solution, you can use that. But if for some reason you do not use DNS security at some location, you can use the Resolver solution for that. So you can mix and match things and be able to deploy DNS security consistently throughout. As I mentioned, this is a per user per year licensing. So if you do not use our DNS security through the firewalls, this is something that you will need to look into. Hopefully, that covers a bit about the licensing. Charles, any other questions out there?
Arun, we have one more question, right? So what's difference between like how URL filtering or DNS security license, because we are offering content categories with DNS security. So I think the answer here is for advanced DNS resolver, the content categories are primarily taking into the fact from at the DNS level. So with the advanced DNS, advanced URL filtering, we have additional mechanisms to do the filtering security at the HTTP level, like live content analysis of the HTTP content, etc. Right? So for real-time inline analysis of on the page, JavaScript, etc. All those things have been taken care by advanced URL filtering, but with advanced DNS resolver, we look into at the IPs and domain historical data, domain attributes, and from there we get the analysis.
Yeah, thanks, Gokul. I mean, the key thing here is the Resolver is a standalone product, so there is no content categories available through URL filtering on that product. So we do things at a DNS level. So if you want to use some of these content categories over the Resolver, that is available. On the hardware firewall SASE solution, you have content categories available through the URL filtering solution, so you can use that and use DNS security to enforce things at the from a malicious category standpoint. One thing to note is the DNS traffic and the URL traffic, right? HTTPS traffic. So when we have these content categories, we are enforcing it at a DNS level. So we do not have, we can only categorize things based on the FQDN. But URL filtering, of course, will be a lot more precise. So it can look into the entire URL path and be able to more accurately predict or tell you the category.
Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. Person who asked that question said thanks. Another question that Ian just asked is, does this support DNSSEC validation?
Yes, it does. So being a recursive resolver, we will be analyzing the responses, making sure if things are getting signed using DNSSEC. So if so, then we can take action on it.
Cool. Believe that is actually all the questions we've gotten in so far. Oh, hello. We just had a big one pop in here. In a scenario where our internal users use a public IP address like 8's as their primary DNS, do we need to change that DNS IP to the DNS Resolver's Anycast IPs as their new DNS server? I'm guessing the answer to that is yes.
So in case, if you're using Resolver, then you'll need to move from Quad 8 to our IP. Also keep in mind that we have also come across certain customer bases where they say like all these services that are available out there may not necessarily have an SLA. Like if you're pointing to some free ISP resolvers out there, they may not necessarily have an SLA tied to it. So in those cases, also you could look at our resolver and be able to forward traffic to us.
Okay. And then are the IP addresses defined in the ADNS Resolver profile the public IP addresses of the user's ISP or Global Protect Gateway's IP addresses used to access the internet?
So yeah, go ahead, Gokul.
Yeah. So in the example which I have shown, it's as a client I have shown it, but in general the use case is for campus branch use case. So what we need to enter here is the public egress public IP of the campus or branch network. You will have one egress IP, whether it's coming out or going through firewall. You would need to enter that egress IP or the subnet range and configure in the connection source.
Okay. And then everyone, if you have any last minute questions, go ahead and get them in if you would, please. We've got a question of, does a black... I can't talk today, apparently. I'm sorry, gentlemen. Does it block ads or ad-related domains also, or only the malicious ads?
The
as in advertisements, yes.
So this is basically anything that from a content category standpoint, whatever advertisements we have out there at an FQDN level, whatever we are aware of, you can take an action on it. So this is not just malicious.
All right. So we'll give another brief second here for anyone to ask any last minute questions. I'll just take this opportunity to say, both of you, Arun and Gokul, thank you very much for your time today. I like these events because this is something that I've been hearing people talking about, the ADNS Resolver service, and I've known nothing about it. So for me, these types of events are perfect because they'll give everyone a chance to be introduced to it, understand what exactly is going to be coming about for it, and how people could potentially even use it. So yeah, we got another question just popped in here from Andrew. Will the Palo DNS Resolver service work for BYOD devices when setting at home and not connected to VPN?
So a couple of things here. As I mentioned earlier, you need a static IP today. So if you have your BYOD devices sitting at home, very likely you are going to get dynamic IPs assigned by your ISP. So we will have a process to consume dynamic IPs as well. That's going to come in pretty soon. But if you have a static IP at home, you can use the resolver.
Okay. And then I think this is more an offline question, but I'll throw it out there. Chris is asking, does anyone else have an issue with we block DNS URL application when a user can't get something to work? Where do you go first?
I don't think I follow. Could you repeat that?
Okay. Well, the question, oops, sorry, this question just scrolled off my screen. Does anyone else have an issue? I'm presuming where we block DNS URL application when a user can't get something to work. Where do you go first to fix a problem like that where something's being blocked, and how do you help a user fix that issue?
So yes, everything will start at a DNS level. So my advice will be like start from the DNS logs, see if anything has been identified by the DNS product in general. If you have blocked it, you can see the log right there. If not, you'll have to then go through different set of services in general. But DNS security is where you're going to start. Make sure it hasn't blocked, or you can look at those logs to see if we identified a threat and blocked it. And then you can probably look into URL filtering logs and other log types to try and start digging in further.
Okay. I hope that answers your question there, Chris. Then Kevin is asking, does the ADNS feature in PanOS give the same black hole page options as shown here today? he's a legacy DNS filtering customer, and the black hole option basically just drops the connection and lets us log it in the security log.
So there is a mechanism today to display the block page. Key thing is you have the same sinkhole mechanism in firewall as well. And as I briefly mentioned that, but sinkhole on the NGFW side, there isn't really a block page that we host today on that service. But what you can do is you can enable URL filtering or something on URL filtering on the firewall and have it basically create a security rule which maps or looks into traffic going to our sinkhole IP. And if you apply a URL filtering profile to it, we sync all the categories between our DNS security product and URL filtering product. So if DNS security identified something as malware, URL filtering also basically tags it as malware. Now, when the subsequent HTTPS traffic goes through to our sinkhole IP, the URL filtering product can kick in and throw the block page back at the user. And we have documented those steps. So feel free to reach out to your account teams and we can help them with all the documentation in general.
Fantastic. All right. It looks like that's pretty much it for the questions. Arun, Gokul, thank you again for everything for today. We'll go ahead and let you guys go. Greatly appreciated, and hope we can see you again in a future event. So thanks.
All right. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
All.
Thank
Bye.
you.